Hey class, today we're going to learn about the order of operations. So by the end of the lesson, you will be able to simplify expressions that contain multiple operations with positive integers. But first, what are the order of operations? The order of operations are the rules we follow when simplifying expressions with more than one operation. The reason why we have these rules is that so everyone gets the same answer when simplifying an expression. For example, if we have an expression that has addition, multiplication, and division, the order of operations tell us which one to do first. Do we multiply first? Do we add first? That way, no matter what person, we all get the same answer. So some of you may have heard of the acronym PEMDAS, or Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. That is a way to help you remember the order of operations. So when we have an expression, we need to do our operations in this particular order so that we all get the same answer. So the operations, the order that we go in is parentheses or any of our grouping symbols. So that includes parentheses, braces, brackets, absolute value bars, and also a fraction bar, which we'll get to in a second. The next operation we do after we simplified everything with our grouping symbols or parentheses are exponents. Then we do multiplication and division, and those are on the same level, so they get done from left to right. They're inverse operations or opposite operations, so we're always going to do them as they appear in our expression from left to right. Then we have addition and subtraction, which are also inverse operations or opposite operations. So we are going to do them as they appear in the problem, left to right, just like multiplication and division. When we're simplifying expressions, when we're doing our parentheses or our grouping symbols, it's important to note that parentheses are used to group operations, and so are other grouping symbols, and that inside these parentheses, we must simplify everything inside it before we do anything else. So we would do 8 minus 3 is 5 before we add 15. It's also important to know that inside those grouping symbols, we follow the order of operations. So if this had inside our parentheses 8 times 2 minus 3, we would do our multiplication before our subtraction inside those parentheses because we're going to follow order of operations inside our grouping symbols. It's also important to note that a fraction bar groups the numerator from the denominator. So a fraction bar is almost like one of those grouping symbols. It separates our top expression from our bottom expression, and we have to simplify both of those expressions before we divide. Let's look at some examples. Number 1 says 17 plus 3 times 4 minus 20 divided by 2. So first we're going to start with our parentheses or our grouping symbols. There are parentheses in this problem, but as you can see, inside it is just a 4. There's nothing else to do with it, so these parentheses are really just telling us to multiply by that 3. So we have no parentheses, no other grouping symbols, so we're going to move to exponents. There are no exponents, so we're going to move to multiplication and division. In this problem, there's multiplication and division, but they're going to get done from left to right, so as they appear in the problem. So in this problem, our multiplication, the 3 times 4, appears before our division, 20 divided by 2. So we're going to multiply before we divide in this problem. So I'm not touching the 17 and the plus, so I'm just going to write that below. And then 3 times 4 is 12. I'm going to bring down my minus 20 divided by 2 because we haven't done those operations yet. Now that I did my multiplication, I can move to the division. So again, I'm going to bring down my 17 plus 12 and that minus sign and do 20 divided by 2, which is 10. Now I'm just left with addition and subtraction, which also gets done in order from left to right, or as they appear. So in this particular problem, addition comes before subtraction. So I'm going to do 17 plus 12 before I subtract 10. 17 plus 12 is 29. Bring down that minus 10. Now 29 minus 10 is going to give us 19, which is our final answer. If we look at number 2, we have the quantity 24 plus 16 divided by 8 times 2. So in this problem, we do have parentheses with stuff to simplify inside it. So we're going to start with those parentheses and do 24 plus 16, which is 40. Then we're going to bring down everything we haven't done yet. Now we have 40 divided by 8 times 2. So we have multiplication and division, but again, they get done left to right. So in this problem, division appears first. So I'm going to divide first. 40 divided by 8 is 5, and then bring down my times 2. Now 5 times 2 is 10, which is my final answer. Let's look at 2 more examples before you try it on your own. Number 3 says 24 plus 2 to the power of 2, or 2 squared, times 3 divided by 6. So let's go through our order of operations. Are there parentheses or grouping symbols? No. So let's move on. Are there exponents? Yes, there's 2 with an exponent of 2. And remember, the exponent tells me to take that base of 2 and multiply it by itself that many times. So in this case, it's representing 2 times 2, which is 4. So now that I simplified the exponents, I can bring down everything else I haven't done yet. Now I look at multiplication and division. There is multiplication and division, so I'm going to do it left to right. In this problem, multiplication appears first, so I'm going to multiply before I divide. So I have my 4 times 3, which is 12, and I'm going to bring down my divide by 6. Now I have 24 plus 12 divided by 6, so I'm going to do my division, keep my 24 my plus because I haven't done it yet, and then 12 divided by 6 is 2. 24 plus 2 is 26. Let's look at number 4. Number 4, we have that fraction bar, so remember that groups the top expression and the bottom expression. So I'm going to simplify the top on its own and simplify the bottom on its own. So the top, looking at our order of operations, we have parentheses, so I'm going to do what's inside those parentheses first. So 8 minus 5 is 3, and then don't forget that exponent of 2. And then on the bottom, I have 2 plus 1, so I can start simplifying that as well. Well, 2 plus 1, there's only one operation, so we can just add, and we get 3. 3 squared, or 3 to the power of 2, is telling us to take that base of 3 and multiply it by itself twice. So 3 times 3, which is 9. And then all over 3. So now we have 9 divided by 3. Our top expression is simplified. Our bottom expression is simplified. So now we can finally divide. 9 divided by 3 is 3. All right, now I want you to try number 1 and 2 on the screen. And then when you are ready, you'll hit continue to check your answers with mine. All right, take a moment, check your answers with my answers. Pause the video if you need more time. If you made a mistake, go retry and then check to find your mistake with my work. And then when you're ready, try number 3 and 4 on your own. And then again, you'll hit continue when you're ready to check your answers. All right, take a moment, check your answers with mine. If you made a mistake, check my work with your work and see where you went wrong. If you got everything right, then you're good. Have a wonderful day.